Somewhere on this planet, there are forests where the last human footprint is older than your grandparents. No chainsaw, no road crew, no campfire smoke. Just silence and time, doing something to the land that almost nobody has watched happen from start to finish. Because when a forest is left alone for 100 years, it doesn't just grow back. It becomes something else entirely. And what's waiting at the end of that century is stranger and older than anything you'd expect. The moment humans disappear, the forest doesn't relax, it reacts. Within days, the noise changes first. The mechanical hum that scared off shy animals for decades simply stops, and something remarkable happens in the silence that follows. Species that hadn't been seen in that exact spot in a generation start slipping back through the trees, testing the air, listening. Within weeks, the ground itself starts working. Without boots compacting the soil, without vehicles crushing seedlings, tiny root systems that had been struggling for years suddenly find room to spread. Fallen leaves stop being swept away and start piling into something richer. A slow-cooking layer of nutrients that hasn't existed here in a long time. And underneath all of it, an ancient partner begins to stir. Fungal threads, thinner than hair, start reconnecting broken networks that human activity had severed. This is only the beginning. Because what happens next isn't recovery, it's rebellion. Roads are usually the first casualties. Cracks that seemed cosmetic start widening as roots push upward from below, patient and unstoppable. Within a single year, asphalt that took machinery and money to lay down begins buckling like it was never permanent at all, because it wasn't. Abandoned trails vanish faster than most people expect. A path that took hikers 10 minutes to walk can disappear under vegetation in less than 3 years. Insects return almost immediately, but not randomly. They come back in a specific order, almost like a construction crew arriving in shifts. Decomposers first, breaking down whatever humans left behind. Pollinators next, chasing the sudden bloom of flowering plants no longer being mowed or sprayed. And quietly, beneath it all, fungi begin doing something far more dramatic than simply eating dead wood. They start building an underground communication system that will define everything that happens for the next 100 years. 20 years in, the forest is unrecognizable to anyone who remembers what it used to be. Fast-growing pioneer trees, the ones nature always sends in first, like scouts, start reaching heights that provide real shade for the first time. That shade changes everything. Sun-loving plants that thrived in the open years start dying back, replaced by shade-tolerant species that couldn't have survived here before. Predators that need dense cover to hunt begin testing the territory. Deer populations, which often explode right after human departure, start leveling off as wolves, coyotes, or big cats rediscover a hunting ground. By 40 years, something even stranger emerges. The forest starts sorting itself into layers. A canopy, a middle layer of younger trees, a shaded understory. Each layer hosts different species that barely interact with the others, like separate neighborhoods stacked on top of each other. Owls claim the canopy. Ground-nesting birds claim the leaf litter. And the food chain, once simple, becomes a tangled web with dozens of interlocking relationships that didn't exist when the land was disturbed every year by human hands. 60 years in, the trees that dominate the landscape are no longer the fast pioneers that showed up first. Slower, longer-living species, the ones that take decades just to reach maturity, begin overtaking them, shading them out, claiming the canopy for themselves. It's a quiet takeover that happens over generations, and it sets the stage for a forest that behaves less like a collection of plants and more like a single, coordinated organism. Which brings us underground, to the part of this story most people never see. Beneath every mature forest floor lies a network scientists sometimes call the Wood Wide Web. A sprawling mesh of fungal threads connecting the root systems of trees across the entire forest, sometimes stretching for miles without a single visible sign above ground. Through this network, trees do something that sounds almost unbelievable. They share resources. A large, sun-drenched tree can send sugars through fungal threads to a smaller, shaded neighbor struggling to survive. Trees under insect attack can release chemical warnings that travel through these same threads, giving neighboring trees time to produce defensive compounds before the threat even arrives. This is the real difference between a young forest and one left alone for a century. A young forest is a collection of individuals competing. An old forest is a network, cooperating, because the fungal threads connecting everything only reach their full complexity after decades of undisturbed growth. Cut the forest down, and you don't just lose trees. You sever a communication system 100 years in the making. After all that time, after all that quiet, underground negotiation, what finally emerges above ground is almost unrecognizable as the same ecosystem that existed a century earlier. Trees that were saplings when the humans left now tower overhead, some exceeding heights that took entire lifetimes to reach. The canopy is no longer a simple roof. It's a layered, three-dimensional structure with gaps and openings created by trees that have already lived their full lives and fallen. And those fallen giants don't disappear. They become something new entirely. Nurse logs, slowly decomposing over decades, hosting entire miniature ecosystems of moss, fungi, insects, and new seedlings sprouting directly from the decaying wood of their ancestors. Rivers running through these forests change course more freely, no longer forced into channels by human infrastructure, creating new wetland pockets that support species found nowhere else in the area. Predators that vanished generations ago establish territories again, and their presence ripples through every layer of the food chain beneath them. Biodiversity doesn't just increase, it compounds, because every new species that returns creates opportunities for several more. Stand inside a forest like this, and the evidence of humanity is almost gone. Old roads have become soil. Fences have rusted into the ground or been swallowed by moss. The only proof we were ever here might be a rectangular clearing that no longer looks rectangular at all, softened by 100 years of relentless, patient growth. And this is where the real revelation waits. We tend to assume forests exist because we protect them, manage them, or at least leave them mostly intact. But watch one recover from a century of total absence, and a different truth becomes impossible to ignore. The complexity, the cooperation, the underground networks, the layered canopies. None of that required us. If anything, our presence was the interruption, not the support system. Perhaps the greatest illusion we've ever believed is that forests need us to survive. In reality, they've been patiently waiting for the chance to become what they were always meant to be. And given just 1 century of silence, they don't simply recover. They remember how to become ancient again.